is up, y'all?
Friends.
It's a very special day for one and all. For us and for you. That's one and all.
Yeah. Hey, so first of all,
That was me defining it for myself, just to be clear.
that was we're the one. You and I are one, and then they're the all.
The all,
Okay, got
yes.
it.
So I just want to make
Got
it clear that Jack and I are the same
We're one.
person. We're one and the same.
And
Yeah.
tonight is the night when two become one. Because this is our very special All Spice Girls episode of Chris and Jack. No, it's not. Here's what it is instead. First of all, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas
Merry
to one and all. Here we are. Here we are.
This is our season 1 finale of Chris and Jack's podcast, Pilots the Podcast. Chris, you pointed out that maybe we called last week the season finale. We don't remember.
I can't recall. I think, there's season finale is kind of getting thrown around a lot in these last couple episodes, but I think this is kind of that. It's a season finale, but also it's kind of like, is this also it's the continuation in a parallel dimension of a different podcast?
Yes.
We're celebrating what season 1 became by making this second episode of one of them.
And if you didn't know, we had a vote on our Patreon. By the way, if you don't know, you're behind. You know, this public podcast, as we're releasing it, is quite a bit behind our Patreon podcast. And so over there, we had a vote where people got to listen. People could choose among all of the pilots that we did in the whole first season. Could pick their favorite that we would make a second episode of, which is what we're presenting you today. So I'll say, if that process sounds fun to you, if you care about democracy, if you think that they chose horribly and this is not what you would have wanted to hear another episode of, and you're like, why aren't they talking about Phantom again? Then hey, consider joining the Patreon.
Let your voice be
season 2.
heard. Let your voice be heard. And it's been a blast making all of these this season. We are planning on continuing. Well, we have been continuing with our season 2. And if you want to go over there and you can listen to it literally right now, head on over there. Publicly, we're going to take a break right after on the heels of this one.
Season 2
will be coming back in February.
Season 2 will be
plan?
back in February. If you can't wait that long, you know what to do. Check out Patreon. But in the meantime, enjoy this. Have a very Merry Christmas. We hope you're doing well out there. And without further
ado, may we introduce you to episode 2
of Avatar the Last
View.
Nice, dude. That was nice.
Thanks, dude.
And then
Fuck
just play
yeah.
the episode, I say.
Probably then we just go into the episode after this, right? Yeah. And then we trim this out.
I think even if we left a little bit of it as a joke, certainly we're past that now. If there was a little overhang where you hear a little
man's land right now.
This is absolutely not going to be used. And the bit, I can see the feeling of it's a long bit about how it's not going to be used. My real dream is that we don't use it.
No, is that we don't use any of this. That this is now us real.
This is
so now we can finally
so
drop
authentic.
the act.
Yeah.
Dude, what are you hoping for Christmas?
I asked for, I was like, I want to get a DSLR. So I asked for some gift certificates. I was like, I'm not going to ask somebody to buy me a DSLR, but I was like, maybe I could get some gift certificates to B&H Photo, which is a photo and other stuff store in New York that is also where I bought a lot of my sound equipment. So I was like, I'll get a gift certificate to there. Do some research on DSLRs. If I want to get a DSLR, great. If not, I could upgrade my sound equipment. So that was what I asked for. What about you, man?
Love that. Yeah. Well,
dude, this is all in, right?
Is this all in? Because I was actually going to try. If it's all in, should I segue us back? Here's my attempt. If this is all in, hey man. Well, yeah, that sounds great. And you know what? I'd happily get you a gift card to help contribute towards that.
That'd be great.
If that's a gift you want.
Thank you.
I was hoping to get a nice high-end television with the potential for a sound bar. I just want to be able to make sure that I'm properly fully immersed.
Your home studio. Your home,
and I just want to be
theater.
I'd love to just have an immersive experience so I could watch Avatar the Last Airbender.
Oh, it came back. We used all of it.
Yeah, and we definitely wouldn't continue with any of this, right? Right, this is for sure
For sure,
out,
this
right?
part's out. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And here we are. Episode 2 of the podcast you know and love, Avatar the Last Viewer.
In case you forgot, this is a podcast, a regular podcast that we just regular do as a podcast, where my name is Jack De Sena, and I played the character Sokka on the TV show Avatar the Last Airbender. And did you know that my best friend and comedy man, sketch partner, Chris W. Smith, professionally, had never seen it in his whole dang life, even though we've been friends since, when I was making it.
Yes.
So this is a podcast where Chris
reconciles slowly with the hope that he can somehow dig himself out of the terrible hole he's built for himself over the years of being, one would argue, a bad friend. But
I will forgive you if contingent upon you liking this show and give me lots of sweet little compliments.
Of course. But again, I ain't pulling no punches here.
No, I don't actually. I don't want them unless you mean them.
And that's the thing. Friends know. And we're going to be real with each other on this because that's what we do always on Avatar the Last Viewer.
Yes, this is a show where Chris can be like, yeah, man, it's cool. The world building is awesome. There's some really cool stories. And then you can say like, not for me, or, but I thought you kind of dragged it down a little. That's this kind of show.
Oh, you were in it? Or what's your biggest fear? Oh, your biggest fear comment I remember is on like a YouTube video or something like that is nope.
Oh yeah. Oh, brutal. I would be genuinely confused if you just were like, hey man, so I watched Avatar the Last Airbender, that show you did. Nope.
Also, if you could tell, my P's and my plosives here are well protected because I've got a new screen around my new microphone, one that matches Jack's exactly, and hopefully is a better microphone to listen to my voice on. That's what we're bringing in our second episode of Avatar the Last Viewer. I was going to say season finale of season 1, but we're not. We're not in that reality.
It's episode 2. Episode 1 of Avatar the Last Viewer, we covered episode 1 of Avatar the Last Airbender, The Boy in the Iceberg. So today we're going to cover episode 2, The Avatar Returns.
I didn't even know the title. Okay, that's cool.
The Avatar Returns.
The Avatar Returns.
We thought we'd start. It's been a couple weeks since we recorded episode 1 of the podcast.
Yes.
And some people have seen Avatar many times, are very familiar with the show, feel like have a really good grasp of who all the characters. Chris has seen one episode once. It's 22 minutes of television that you watched 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So we thought we'd start with a recap. Why don't you recap for us episode 1, The Boy in the Iceberg? And also, by the way, the recap would be helpful for me because I realized in preparing for this episode, I was like, wait, I conflated some stuff. I didn't rewatch it when we were doing episode 1. I didn't rewatch the pilot. And I was like, I realized afterwards, like, oh, I think I was picturing some stuff that's in maybe today's episode, maybe a later episode. I was picturing some stuff slightly incorrectly. So you recap for me, Chris, because though I have been very familiar with the show for 15 years, we could all use a little catch up.
Well, also, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt for your recollection because, as you mentioned on the previous episode of Avatar the Last Viewer, you had mentioned that like you all recorded 2 different versions of the pilot, right? That there was one that was used for sales, and there was the one that was actually recorded and broken up. So maybe in your conflation, you were like, well, I was thinking about the plot points that might have been more condensed in the pilot.
Maybe,
I'm giving you an out, man, because I'm your best friend and I'm able to make sure that.
Kind of you to give me an out. Those.
Yeah, great.
You're my best friend, even though, in this one.
I'm working on it. I'm working my way back in. Yes. Before I give the recap, I think it's necessary that I change my video background here to for those that are watching to one of my favorite characters.
There's the boy. What's his name?
His name is
Full
the
name,
boy
please.
of the water, Sokka.
Full name,
Sokka. Sokka water. Soccer waterbender. Soccer waterbender. Sokka. Sokka it to me.
There we go.
Sokka. He has a full name? Of course he does.
Have a full name.
He doesn't? Okay.
No, I mean Sokka of the Southern Water Tribe. I don't think they don't
So
really
he doesn't
have.
have a last name. Of
There
the
are
Southern
very
Water Tribe is the
few-
last.
There are very, very few last names in the Avatar world. I
Okay.
don't want to say a thing that I could be complete. I could be.
Spoilers.
I can only think of one, but there probably are others. But there's one family. I won't spoil much. What would it spoil for me to say a last name? The Beifong family.
Okay.
Is their last name is prominently mentioned, but I don't know if there are any others. There probably might be one other. Someone out there is mad at me or proud of me for half knowing a fact. But
Yeah.
the Beifong family, yeah, we just rarely hear last names, and this is like a wealthy Earth King family that we do hear about.
See, and now I've got that in the back of my head, so that's going to start to help paint the picture. But let me paint a picture for you, if you will,
Yes.
Jack. Let me paint a picture for you, if I will, you will, if you will.
No,
Indulge
you're
me
painting
if
the
you
picture.
will.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I wanted to say. And viewers / listeners, imagine a world wherein there are 4 tribes: water, fire, sky, the air nomads,
Yeah.
and the
Just said this one.
the what? The water ones? No, I said the water ones. The water ones, the fire ones, the air
sky
nomads,
guys.
the sky guys, and the what? The earth ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, Earth.
Earth
I keep
King, yeah.
thinking. I'm like, yes, Captain Planet without the heart,
Yeah.
but the heart finds its way in through. We'll get to that.
But in Captain Planet, it's wind, right?
Oh yeah, wind's in there. It's the elements. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wind is kind of like, I guess, the air, right?
No, 100%. I'm just saying, like, don't rely on that to remember the names.
Yes, right. Fair. But like visually, I can think of like
Yeah.
whooshing stuff.
And
These
I
4
think
tribes
people could argue that Sokka's the heart.
Ooh.
He's not.
But this is good mislead. There are 4 tribes, and there's an avatar that comes in, and it's like, okay, so the tribes. There's an avatar that comes that appears. In each tribe, it's reincarnated, and it passes around the person or the spirit passes around the tribe and keeps the peace among the tribes. But then the avatar, if I remember correctly, and this was weeks ago that I watched it, he disappeared and then didn't come back. And
he
the
kind
Fire
of vanished
Nation,
when the world needed him most.
right? That seems relevant as a quote or something. Then the fire tribe, they decided, like, we're going to take over this world. And so they started to fight and start to do that stuff. And then basically everyone's like, where the hell is the freaking avatar to come down here and set these folks right? Because the only avatar has the power to like balance things out again. Avatar isn't found. They don't know what the hell's going on. And now the fire tribe wants to just take everybody over, including the water tribe, as we meet brother and sister Sokka and Sokka and
Sokka's sister,
Katara.
Nice.
Yes. So then
Also, I want to say, I'm sure you meant to be paralleling to like doing your best at that intro thing, right? You really flowed it. Okay, good.
Okay, good. Yes.
you really, that was basically the structure of that. You did pretty good.
I'm a very good storyteller.
I believe Aang can save the world.
Yeah. Yes. So then the brother and sister are out and about, and they're just kind of like looking for fish. And then she's testing out her waterbending skills, and she's able to waterbend stuff. And the brother Sokka, who's kind of a dick, he's kind of a sexist dick, it turns out, puts her down a bunch. And then she's like, "You're a sexist dick, dude." And then he's like, "Oh, you're just a girl. You stink." And then and then she waterbends.
I'd like you to quickly explain how his sexism saves the world, because,
I guess so, because if it weren't for you to interesting point.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't cause her to be so upset, she wouldn't have then gotten all that water bent and then moved it out of the way so we could meet. Dun.
Wouldn't have cracked that iceberg.
an iceberg, the boy in the iceberg,
her
the name of the episode.
My
Yeah, sexism saved the world.
misogyny. Yeah,
that's what this show's about. As I'm learning,
it doesn't. I don't think it directly saves the world, but it does inspire others to action. You know,
and so then
we talked about this, but crucially, some of Sokka's going to learn some important lessons soon on some of that.
Good. He's got some work to do.
Yeah.
But clearly, maybe he just knew it was like something inside him said, I got to be a sexist pig for just a little bit longer, just until the world starts to get set right. And then I'll fix some things.
Also, he's in this like warrior culture and they're under attack. We see later in the... Well, I don't want to say what we see. You got it. You're doing so good.
And then we find a boy in an iceberg, name of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's in like a big old ice orb, like a snow globe kind of thing.
Yep.
Kid, baby, bald little baby. Aang. And then Aang appears, doesn't know much, doesn't remember stuff. Time is lost. We're like, why does he not know who he is or where he's from? And then suddenly we start to get the sense that this guy's got powers and he's got a big old never-ending story dog. Oh man! Speak of the devil on camera right now. We have our friend Apu.
Nope.
Our friend Abu.
So that's Simpsons and then Aladdin.
So yes, right. Oh, yep. That's our friend. Oh, I didn't notice the arrow on top of him.
Yeah, it matches.
Appa.
Yeah.
Appa. So that's
our buddy Appa.
Appa's
this is, by the way, I got this during production and kept it in. This is like a big classic plush Appa. I got it as a gift from production, kept it in plastic until I could give it, and I gave it to my daughter, and she loves it.
I bet you there was a point where I was at your house or something like that. There was some level, and it was just like in that plastic wrap on a shelf, and I probably looked at it, and I was like, what the hell is that? Little did I know.
You're so into Never-Ending Story and arrows. I guess what you just like commissioned one.
What is like a knockoff?
What if it was
like one of those like shoe knockoffs that you get? You know,
he's a sky bison. He's part manatee. It's an entirely original property. It's not Falcor. Stop. Okay. Don't. I just want to listen. There's a lot of fun here for you to like kind of make mistakes. And like, I get stuff wrong about the show because I don't know. And the joke is like, people who are listening probably already know the show and whatever.
Yeah.
You will get no support if you start down a path of shit talking Appa. Okay, people will not have any patience with you. Like, well, he doesn't know that Appa commands your respect, Chris.
That's good to know because I definitely don't. I don't want to disrespect in any way the culture around this, nor do I. And that's just good to know the trappings of like, I'm dancing in the fields right now, blissfully unaware of where all of this goes.
There are other characters where like there are definitely characters that if you're like, this one doesn't connect for me, people get upset. But just like Appa, come on, dude, everybody, come on.
Appa's great. Appa's great. And I feel like we learned that Appa might fly, but we haven't gotten evidence of that yet.
He doesn't fly?
He swims.
Pilot?
He swims them to the island in this episode, in the pilot.
Aang doesn't say a thing that has him, he flies a little? No?
If he did, I don't remember it at all.
Okay.
But that's also, I'm an unreliable narrator, but still, I'm a great storyteller.
Yeah, you're doing great.
So imagine, if you will, Aang has emerged from the iceberg, and then the kids are like, you got to come back to our village for a reason that I can't remember. So then they all get on, they all decide like, let's go back to the village.
Being nice.
They're just being nice to the kid. I guess it's true. The kid that was just frozen, like, we need to get you kind of like cleaned up and healthy and eat.
But Sokka's suspicious, right? Sokka thinks he might be a spy.
Sokka doesn't trust this guy. And then also Appa sneezes on Sokka, which I remember was a very important plot point. And then they get back to the village where we learn more about the fact that Katara is kind of like has the abilities for like waterbending, but she hasn't found proper training and doesn't really know where to get training and is looking for a master. And then she notices that
she's the only waterbender in her village.
Right. And then she learns that she sees that this kid can bend stuff. And then she's like, will you teach me? And then he's like, no, who's going to we need to get you a master. But the nearest master is in the North Pole. How am I going to get to the North Pole? I'll fly you there on one condition. teach me how to beat up penguins. And then that's essentially yeah. And then Sokka in the B story a little bit. Well, no, Sokka's still there, but he has this little like sea runner of like I'm a warrior that's like kind of like teaching the kids like how we're going to be able to defend ourselves and stuff.
Yeah, and then that one kid has to go pee.
And then all the kids have to go pee.
Yeah.
And then we learn about Dante's character, and his name is Zuko.
Great. And just I want to ask, does he have any? Give me a visual description of that character.
He's got like a scar.
What
on
side
his
of the face
face.
is it on?
It's on. If he's looking at me,
yeah,
my right, his left.
This is just
right?
a point of contention. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I'm learning so much. But I get, and then Zuko is like, I need to find that avatar.
This is a very small reference to a thing much later in the show. This is a weird thing I planted in your head. You're gonna be like checking from scene to scene, just like really in your head about like, was that scar?
You have so much control over me right now.
It's not like the series is riddled with continuity errors and they just kept putting it on the.
It's the mole in what is it? Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes.
Yeah. Keeps moving around. And then so Zuko's looking for the avatar. He's clearly like he's trying to like get he's impatient. He's angered. He's like got something to prove. He wants to like prove something to his ancestors as the one that like successfully found the avatar when the bloodline before him couldn't. And then there's an old man that drinks tea and is like wise, and I liked a lot. I like that guy a lot. He might have been one of my favorite characters.
He's the other one that I immediately thought of like, you're not going to get any friends complaining about criticizing Appa or Uncle Iroh. Uncle Iroh. I just spoiled his name.
Yes. Okay, great. And then the avatar is Aang, who I believe is the avatar.
Nailed it.
And then he's found a ship that was like one that was from the Fire Nation at a point, and then it had a booby trap in it, and they just wanted to kind of explore it. And then there's a booby trap that then goes off, signals Zuko's attention, sees, oh my gosh, he sees Aang do some powers and realizes that's the freaking avatar. And then we go close on his eyes as he glares at the village and says, a line I don't remember, but I'll ad lib and say, he says, I found me an avatar.
It's Avatar season.
It's Avatar season, and Uncle Iroh, Uncle Iroh, we're the hunters, and it's Avatar season.
Start warming the oven. Tell him the hunt's about to commence.
Yeah.
It's Avatar season.
It's Avatar season.
That was roughly it. I think that was basically the line.
Yeah, so
I do
that's
think
where
it ends
we're
with some idea of like we see him and then we see where he's going. So it's like the Fire Nation might be about to descend upon
the Water Tribe.
The Southern Water Tribe, which is a small village, you know?
And so that's a question, is that so it's the Fire Nation, but the Water Tribe is supposed to indicate size difference? Way outnumbered?
Yeah, I guess. So. There is, I mean, I don't know what's getting into spoiler territory, but we do hear in the pilot about like there could be, you know, a great trainer, a master for them at the Northern Water Tribe, right? We hear about that. Right.
Yep.
Yes. So I will say a little bit that like, you know, Southern Water Tribe, pretty small, kind of isolated. You know, a lot of the men are off to war. There aren't any waterbenders there because of, you know, Fire Nation war, because of war. It's gotten bad for them. But the Northern Water Tribe potentially is a place that might have more waterbenders and stuff.
And here's maybe a prediction.
Yep.
Northern Tribe, gone, vanished, all of them dead. Because it's like Waterworld, where they're like, I just want to get to dry land.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have to go on this crazy adventure to dry land. And then it's like, let's hop on the freaking back of Appa.
Yeah.
And they get up there and like, can't wait to meet my trainer. Can't wait to meet all of the tribes. Let's unite the tribes. And then everybody's everybody's gone. Everybody's in a iceberg.
It's Waterworld, kid. And then the smokers.
Yes,
Dennis
exactly.
Hopper. Yeah.
And then Aang bungee jumps out of a hot air balloon and then saves someone out of the water and then comes back. And yeah.
So what do you think? I wanted to know. First of all, I want to say sincerely great recap. You did
Thank
great.
you. I was in the flow of it, and I think that's a testament to the good storytelling and structure of the episode because it was one thing leads to another.
Yes.
Clearly.
What do you think an episode of this show is going to look like? You know, let's just say season 1. Like, what do you think they're gonna do now?
Yeah.
What do you think this show is about to be? And then we'll, start episode 2. But what do you think the show's about to be?
My guess is there's something. I mean, there's been some seeds planted with this whole Northern Water Tribe thing and how that will be important to get there. But that's a big journey to get to literally the opposite side of an entire world.
Yeah.
So my guess is that there will be a big thrust we're about to get into. It's like, hey, near escape from Fire Nation, like line in the sand, adversary knows they got the information they need. Water Tribe got the information they need. Their target, it's like, we got to get numbers up to battle the Fire Nation, but luckily we got the Avatar in our corner, and so now it's about a matter of like, we got to journey to the far reaches of the world to unite the tribes and take down Fire Nation. So I'm guessing it's a show about like traversing the craziness of the world, and then probably finding a reason why Appa can't fly all the way to the northernmost point, and then kind of like a road trip show.
And you think so? Okay. Road trip show, great, and it's 3 seasons. This series, just I don't know if you knew that we made 3.
Yep, great.
So you think them? When do you think you made the prediction that they'll get to the Water Tribe, to the Northern Water Tribe, and it will be potentially desolate? When do you think? Do you think that's like that's the series long thing? Is what you're saying? You think it's a road trip there?
I think it's probably I bet you it's this season is about getting to the northern part of the planet. And then the like second to last episode is the realization that no one is there. Second to last episode of season 1 is the realization that like, oh shit, our whole plan is just is screwed up. There's no way we can do this. And then it's like recalibrate, like now it's going to be even more impossible what we got to do to stop Fire Nation. Yeah. And then like,
and we get some sort of, do we get like a climactic showdown in season 1?
I think we probably get we probably get like some bending. I think there's probably a moment where Katara suddenly realizes like, I'm a better bender than I thought I was. And then through the bending, they manage to escape and then reconvene. And then we've established in the end of the season 1 a moment of like, well, if we're really going to do this, there's only one way to really do this. And you know what that is. Got to go to the volcano.
Oh,
and go
what
into
happens
the
at the volcano?
We got to get into that volcano and we got to find the lava. We got to go to the volcano. And we got to talk to the lava man, and lava man will tell us the strategy or give us the key to unlock the whole naval warship, reserves.
Quick side question: if there were a lava man,
yes,
does he have bending abilities, and if so, what?
Yes, he's magma bender.
So legitimately, I want to ask the question:
he's
if there are these 4 principal bending forms,
right.
What is like a lava bender or a magma bender? Are they earth, water, fire, or air? I'm just curious.
One would argue. Am I onto something? Because one would argue.
I'm just asking questions.
Dude, one would argue, hang on a second. If there's a magma bender, that would be almost all of it, right? That's the person that bends all of it. Because it's liquid earth, that's fire, and it's giving off steam.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, so to recap,
tell me if there's a magma bender. Did I just figure out that there's a magma bender and there's like some big thing? Or is that like what Aang does later is like, oh no, what? He bends lava? Because
do you want to know?
I mean, I kind of do, but I want you to kind of guide me a little bit with the sense of like, as per the episode 2.
Yeah. I will say that a thing that I think you will very much enjoy. I think I can say this without specifically spoiling that stuff. A thing that I think is very, very cool is there are sub-disciplines without getting into them, because there's a lot of fun stuff to discover there. But like
bending, folding, organizing.
Yeah. Just keeping a good planner.
Yeah.
There are sort of within disciplines there's earth, water, air, fire, and then like within kind of each of them there are like you can sort of specialize, and some of them get invented during the course of the show, and some of them we meet people who have a rare
interesting
focus and can do this thing, and there are ways.
They have roots in the various elements still. So like a waterbender specialist is someone that like, hey, I figured out how to make really cool ice swords. I bend water to freeze them into shapes, and I'm a watersmith.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, not that specifically, but yeah.
Okay, that'd be cool.
I was getting at the idea that perhaps like lava bending could be a sub-discipline of one or multiple, as you were talking about. So that sort of idea of Got it. And I was just curious if it were to be if it were to fall under one, how does that mechanically work in your head? Was my question.
I'd say, to be fair, to answer that question, I would say if I had to pick one, lava's more fire than anything, but I think it does intersect.
There's clearly some room for debate.
Yeah.
Okay, so season 1, which by the way, did you notice? I think this is true of the first episode. Did you notice the naming convention of the show? That instead
the boy in the books.
Yeah, so it's
book 1, book 2.
Yeah, and book 1, which is season 1, is water. So book 1, water. Episode 1, boy in the iceberg. So your prediction for book 1, water, is that the trek to the North Pole, to the Northern Water Tribe on Appa is sort of a road trip structure throughout the season. They get there. It's a 20-episode season, so they're going to get there around episode 19, and we'll have little road trip adventures along the way. They'll meet little people all across the world.
Yeah.
They break free of potential Fire Nation threat early. Fire Nation is then on their tail, and they're just like meeting people along the way. Mm-hmm. They get to the Northern Water Tribe. In episode 19, they discover that it has been destroyed, but Katara, along the journey, has learned enough that she doesn't need the waterbending master that she thought she'd find at the Northern Water Tribe, and is able to throw back the Fire Nation, but they know the end is nigh for them unless they can find Lava Man in the volcano, who is, as you're describing it, the master of all 4 elements.
Right. So I guess kind of Aang-ish.
And he'll be the key to turning the tide in the war against the Fire Nation for presumably season 2.
Yes, that's kind of where I'm at. But I will tell you, there's a hangnail of just a thing that I'm debating at what point in what book this happens.
Okay.
Let me know. Let me let you know
is gonna happen, but when?
Yeah, let me at least tell you the one thing that I know happens in this show. That's maybe one of the 2 things that I knew. One of the 3 things I knew before I watched the first episode.
Like a legitimate spoiler. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. The 3 things that I knew before I watched any of this.
Yeah.
Sokka has a boomerang of some kind.
Uh-huh. I think he has it from the beginning, doesn't he?
Well, I just knew that as a fact before I even saw the episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Has a boomerang.
I knew that there was like I knew that Dante was in the show.
Okay.
And then the other thing was a quote that involves both of you, and that's what reconciles me a little bit. That's the thing I got to reconcile. I'm working on right now, is that there's a quote where you say, my girlfriend turned into the moon, and then he says, that's rough, buddy.
Okay.
So I know at a point that you two become friends. Okay. And I know that he becomes a friend on this journey somehow. So and I think that's going to be seeing how at odds he is with the Water Tribe. Like, I'm curious. I'm like trying to reconcile in my mind. That's the only other thing that I knew about this friggin' show.
I could see that feels. I won't say how much that does spoil, but I could see that could feel like it's a shit ton of information in a 2-line exchange.
And
with
so
no
I know
other context of the show.
Yeah.
Now that you see, because that might have, if you hadn't seen the pilot and you hadn't seen the show at all, you might think, oh, so we're buddies and it's a show where there's moon people and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was suddenly like, well, I guess you get a girlfriend. So there's like, you've got to develop a relationship with the girl that you care enough about that then she turns into a moon somehow. And then that's like, you got to at least be book 2 by the time that happens, because we just started. There's not even an inkling of who this girl's going to be yet.
Yeah.
Then somehow Zuko is going to have to become friends of at least Sokka, or Sokka is going to have to turn and become a friend of the Fire Nation, which I don't necessarily see happening. So some of my thoughts are just like,
you think he's a dick.
Well, he's a dick. That's true. But you said he's going to reconcile things, but maybe he gets worse and then reconciles them. But then I'm also thinking that like maybe at a point the battle becomes bigger than the kids are, is my first thought, is that like Zuko is like leading the charge to make his family proud and whatever, and like finds the Avatar, and then his superiors essentially say, step aside, kid, we'll take it from here. And then the old folks start to battle, and then in the mix of that, maybe Zuko is somehow in a battle, like explosion happens and he's off of a boat, and then he's like stranded on an iceberg, and then our heroes, Sokka, Katara, and Aang take pity on this guy that are just feeling like,
you're
oh my God.
These names. I mean, you got the names.
I'm just like repeating them 100 times so I can make sure they're in there normally. And then they see this kid and they're like, he's been really mean to us, but he doesn't deserve to freeze to death. Let's help him. Let's put a blanket around him. And then he reluctantly accepts and realizes like, wait, so you're the Avatar? And then starts to get to know them more, as opposed to just like a symbol of wanting to like capture and basically use as a prisoner of war, and then starts to realize the person behind the Avatar. And then suddenly, wait, we got a kid from Fire Nation. We got a kid from the Water Tribe. Can we get one of them air kids and an Earth kid together?
We might already have an air kid.
Oh yeah, that's right, Aang. So if we can get an Earth kid, maybe Magma Boy, maybe it's Magma Boy instead of Magma Man, then suddenly these kids can represent the nations that are all at war, and they're just like, what are we doing? What are we fighting about?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Look at these kids. They've proven that we can get along. Why are we dealing with all this old bullshit?
Yeah.
That we've been taught, raised up, that we have to be at war, and there's got to be these rules and that rules. Look at the kids. They're our future. And they're saying, you know what? We got it figured out over here. You guys are all wasting your fucking time.
I do think strong pitch for how a season or the show should end is that all the kids turn to the adults, and we just cap this Nickelodeon show with, you guys are wasting your fucking
exactly.
Well, speaking of wasting our time, I think you've got some really good thoughts. I think you have some really big ideas. I'm not gonna comment on the validity of them, but I think you'll be, if you were to watch it all, if you remember, I think like if you watch all of the series and then come back and watch this, you'll get to experience what other people are experiencing right now, which is some hits and misses.
I'll say it's a testament to the lore of the show that it's already built, that like just on my little soapbox there, I felt really passionate about it. I felt really like, no, this is saying something. Did you get it?
I will say the show says a lot of things, and it says them very well. So it does feel, there's so much like built into this world that 100%, like you can feel like, there's going to be, the pilot, as you already saw, is a lot about like children dealing with the fallout of war, children, having to assume roles that they shouldn't be thrust into. And, you're not wrong to think there's going to be a lot of really big thematic ideas. So
love that.
Yeah. I say we
go
show
watch
you
this?
The Avatar Returns. We're going to pause now and go away, and Chris is going to watch the episode. And you know what? I will too this time so that I remember what's actually in this episode. And don't mix it up with other episodes.
I'm very excited. I'm going to give 3 very quick specifics that I think will exist in this episode.
Yes. This was great.
Yes.
What if the Avatar returns from where we left off last time? What do you think's going to happen?
I think there's going to be. I think we're going to see.
And by the way, do we pick up? I just want to know. Do we pick up directly after the line? It's Avatar season.
It's Avatar season. it's Avatar season. Hey, Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
Uncle Iroh. It's Avatar season, buddy. Maybe he says "buddy" after everything.
Maybe that's just
that's his catchphrase. Yeah. Hey, it's Avatar season, buddy. I think we pick up right there.
You think he mostly says it to people he likes? That's not like a.
I think it's a term of endearment.
Okay.
But maybe I'll learn in this episode that it's a sign that he hates you.
Maybe.
I mean, ironic.
Yeah, maybe it's like Chief, which I do like Chief unironically.
Chief is nice.
Yeah. But hey, that sounds rough, Chief. You know, could be kind of.
I get that. That's a good performance. That makes me, I'm like, I don't really want to be called Chief by that guy.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see Appa fly. I think it's going to happen in this episode. I think that we're going to, have a Sokka fight. I think Sokka's going to like show us how like good or bad at battle he is.
Okay. Prediction on that?
Bad.
If we were to get one, good
really
or bad?
I think he's really all bad. Bark, no bite.
Okay.
And then I think we're gonna get a and then I just think that they're gonna be saved by penguins at some point. I think that's a plan. They're doing the penguin diving stuff. It's gonna be like, oh wait, where are we gonna go? This iceberg is melting. The sunbeams are too hot because the Fire Nation. And then oh my gosh, what is that? That looks like it looks like there's a water quake. Is that just a giant water bending thing? Nope. 1,000 penguins. Hop on the backs. Let's go. Yeah.
Do we see him penguin sled in episode 1? Or he just
we do. Yeah, we do we do see him having a good time on the back of some of those very big penguins.
They're huge penguins. They're otter penguins, right? Or penguin otters? They're like half. I don't know if you've caught this yet, but the Avatar world is full of hybrid animals.
You had mentioned that that Appa was a hybrid, so that's like a big all across the board kind of thing.
We're going to be seeing a lot of that.
Oh, well, then maybe that'll be my fourth little addition is that I'm going to see a half.
Yep.
I'm going to see a half seal, half cockroach. Real spooky thing. A cockaseal, yes.
Sounds like the bird. All right, man. Let's pause. This is you're raring to go.
I'm ready to see this. This is episode 2 called "The Avatar Returns."
The Avatar Returns. And I do want you to only watch it once. Just watch it once straight through. But I would like you to once more give us that intro when we come back.
Yeah, great. All right.
Okay.
We'll see you in 5 seconds.
See you right now.
Yeah. Well, just like that, we're back. And
we're
Jack.
Back. Maybe you watched that episode too. A person out there listening, or maybe not. You could just hear us talk about it. Chris, go.
I crushed that. I crushed that. I can't tell you how many times. I can tell you a few times that while I was watching it, I'm like, no way. I am crushing this right now. Granted, yes, big swings. Took some misses. But just speaking to the episode, literally my 3 specifics happened, Jack.
Yeah.
There was a penguin slide that came
an
back.
Important moment.
There was
we saw reappears. Yes.
We saw Sokka fight, and he wasn't good. Called that.
I mean, listen.
Had heart, courage. He wasn't skilled.
Bravery.
Yet.
The boomerang throw, pretty impressive.
Pretty cool.
Kind of it looks like he misses, but then it hits Zuko on the backs on the comeback. I mean, that's not nothing.
So there's hope there.
You're not wrong that he's sort of at this phase a little more heart than hero. Is that a phrase?
That's nice. I like
heart
it.
Than hero. I don't know. That's something.
Put that in the show. Because obviously we can do that. This isn't an old show that I'm now catching up on years and years
Chris,
and years later.
This is real fresh. Everybody's experiencing it along with you for the first time.
Isn't it crazy, guys? When we saw Appa fly, as I predicted.
So I thought he flew so I will say now
that was a little bit of a burying the lead.
I definitely remembered most of this episode as being part of the pilot. I think maybe at one point they aired them back to back as like an hour long kind of intro movie thing. Maybe I'm making that up. But I definitely this is what I thought of as the pilot story.
That makes sense is that they would do a simul release, because I feel like the end of this episode was where it essentially said like, here's kind of what this season is going to be about. And I crushed that. The season is about them friggin' road tripping to the North Pole. Or you can, if they get to the North Pole and there's no one there, oh man. And I can't stress this enough to anybody out there. I'm not lying when I say I've never seen this show.
We've been very upfront about what Chris knows and doesn't know. He's heard a couple of Sokka quotes because he's been around as I've said them for people and whatever. But he truly doesn't really know what's going on.
No. And I feel like I came on the other side of that way more confident than I think I deserve to be. Because I think obviously there's a lot more ahead with a lot of nuance and specifics.
Yes, you got the immediate stuff quite right, as this second episode is a lot of payoffs of things that were set up in the first episode.
One could argue that, yes, maybe there was more to go off of, and I did just kind of say like, I guess there is the idea of the specific being like, Appa's gonna fly, y'all, when it's the whole episode before saying
so
like
far,
Appa won't fly.
I don't want to take anything away from you, because I think like you obviously you have a great writing brain, but your predictions were, I think the guy who keeps talking a lot about being a warrior, I think we're gonna see him fight, and maybe he's gonna be bad. He does seem like the comic relief character. Then your prediction was like, they keep talking about how they might want to go to the North Pole and meet a waterbending master. I think they are gonna try to do that. But I think it'll play out in sort of like an episodic way, where like there are little discrete episodes, we could call them, where it's sort of like a road trip thing, where they're going there, but as they go there, other things, smaller things, happen.
Yeah. Yes. And
also this thing the kid keeps talking about where he's penguin sledding, I think that will happen again.
That one at least was a good prediction.
That was like a buried that was a buried setup with a nice payoff. Having that happen in like a surprising action moment where he came in and saved the day. That was a good call.
Yes,
that was a good call.
Thank you. But yeah, I am. It is that thing where you feel like at some point you wonder like, what is free will? What do we have control over? What do we think we are?
There were things that were set up, that were promised, and like if they spend the first episode going, Appa can fly, and one character's like, I don't think he can fly. Doesn't seem like this guy can fly. Don't think he can fly. And then the reveal is like, no, Sokka's right, couldn't fly. Kid's a liar.
Yeah.
Kid's a liar. The bison sucks. That's the and then they walk. And they start on an island, so they just kind of like got to crack off.
They got a whole season to go, you know?
It can't let that thing fly. Takes a really long time. Yeah. How beautiful, by the way. Like my like the image in my head of the show, like when I think about how beautiful it is, and they've done it a number of times in a number of beautiful ways with different stuff going on and whatever. But like Appa in the clouds and that second episode that we just watched ends with it. But just like that to me is just like what I picture when I picture this show. It's just like him.
What's fun is it gives, I don't know how best to describe it, but it gives like brain feels. Like there's some level of like you're watching imagery that plays into like it's very specific, and it transports my mind into like settings that are just like very unique. I know this is going to be weird because it's like I mention it for comedic effect, but I genuinely, I can't describe why it still tickles me in the way of like, I just like the feeling of that. And my thing that I like is the deck of that freaking boat is the most size unspecific environment. Every shot, it's either huge and the size of a football field, or it's like kind of the bow of like a smaller ship. Like it morphs all the time with how big that ship is
on the ship. Yeah, Chris.
But that deck, it looks so big, and then it looks like modest, and then it looks massive. And
cool angles, bro.
That deck, though, that like element of it being so big sometimes, there's something weirdly cozy. I get this very specific feeling about like, oh, I want to like get on there and explore it. There's just a hatch that's like a super small hatch on this huge flat deck. And then there's also the dudes that are the henchmen down there with the masks on.
The
like
skull
weird
guys.
like skull masks. Dudes. Great henchman design.
Great henchman. The other like brain feel that I have watching this, and tell me if you experience this as well, is like nostalgia. Are you getting that? Or no, sorry.
No, this is my experience is obviously, as everyone else's, the feeling of like fresh cutting edge new animation. Hopefully this show will stick around for a little while, you know?
It'll be cool.
Yeah.
They do promise a whole season.
It's fun to see that like retro vibes too. Again, like that 4:3 aspect ratio. I'm like, strong choice.
There's something very 2005, 2006 about this show.
Yeah.
Well, any other thought? Like, what were any other thoughts in this episode other than you nailed it? It's a good
beyond
episode,
the fact that
it's
I
very
crushed
action-packed.
it.
It's a very like we're in it.
Also, it was fun to see Aang like charge up his friggin' superpower. Eyes go milky white, head lights up, water bends.
What would you, if you were gonna name that? If you were
his charge up thing,
the super state, what would you call that?
What was it called in Dragon Ball Z?
Super Saiyan.
Yeah,
I'd call it
a.
Yeah, let's stick with that.
Let's go with that.
Good.
It's a Super Saiyan. I think it's. I would call it like, Banganang, Bangarang.
I think that's been used by.
And I bet
people
Zuko says it too.
Property.
He's just like, Zuko's just like, it's Bangarang season.
I don't think
Bangarang with a guy named Aang turning into a like charging up. That's just good. That's just good.
I mean, that's pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, maybe it's used in another movie. Yeah, maybe it's used, or maybe it's used in a movie. And yes, maybe Dante was in that movie. Yeah, and maybe that was the catchphrase of his character. That's front of mind. But just a guy named Aang charges up, and this is post Hook that this came out. One could argue that Bangarang is like a term of like, let's go, let's do it. Yeah, Bangarang.
Here's a pitch, because you do want Aang in there. Yeah, and tell me if you like this. Now, and I want to. I think now that when I say it out loud, it's not going to sound. You might not be clear where the pun is.
Okay.
Aang time. Like he's getting
Aang time. Like hang
he's
time,
catching some
NBA
air.
Jam kind of thing.
Like he's catching some air. He's getting hang time.
Oh, because he's catching air. He's catching air. Airbending.
Airbending. It's Aang time.
Can Aang time?
Is that good?
Can Aang time apply for when he's bending water and stuff too?
I don't know, man. I'm the voice actor. I don't write it. That's not what neither of us said what it's called.
But there is a term for it.
There's a term for it. It's not a. I'll say it's not a crazy pun.
It's
and I don't know when they say it, but
it's super Aang. It's supercharge.
Yeah.
It's charge. It's battery full.
Yeah. Basically.
I didn't name none of those. What I named was what the word was.
I mean, you're really close.
Okay, yeah,
but no, you haven't totally hit it. It's called the Avatar state.
The Avatar state.
It's called the Avatar state.
That makes sense.
We see him waterbend. He's already got some airbending. Yeah. So like usually, I don't know if you've got this, but usually you only do one. He's the one. I mean, but we'll see, man.
I didn't realize that. I thought that it was that like he could do all, but I guess it's that he's reincarnated to do one. He just happens to do that one really, really well. Usually.
No. So the idea is that the Avatar will be the master of all four elements.
Yeah, that's what it was in the intro.
Yes.
That was what was making me think about it.
Was frozen at 12.
Oh, right.
So he's
100 years.
He's born into the air nomads. And is mastering that. But you have to these are technique-driven things. Like you have to have this innate ability, but also like it's physical skill. They're all modeled after like real martial arts, and you have to like develop this technical ability. So like he has in him the latent capacity to bend all four elements, but right now he's like a kick-ass airbender. Yeah, and we're seeing this like raw potential as a waterbender.
Dude stopped a ship. Dude stopped the ship, bent up double fire blast, bent that around, flipped.
Well, that was
air.
He just put some air in there.
But and lifted a mattress really well. I'd want him to flip my mattress.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 2.
The Avatar State is also a good name for a podcast. The Avatar State. Maybe?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Not this podcast, but another one.
No, we already got a name, man.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah, we got it already. I love that. I feel like it just hooks you in more. You love these kids more. Aang is so lovable. And it was also great to see we got to see Sokka come around a little bit.
You know?
He pulls that canoe out and he's like, "You coming with me?"
Right?
And we're like, "Yeah, Sokka."
Yeah. Because he's pretty harsh when she's trying to leave with Aang, understandably, you know.
Certainly.
But comes down pretty rough.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're going to abandon your whole tribe. It's not, you know.
And he did pull that card, and to his credit, it worked. She did stay.
It went great. And then he's like, all right, now we can.
Yeah. Now that I know that we both know where I'm at in status within this relationship, I'm clearly, I have the cards I can pull.
That I choose it.
Yeah. Now we can go.
And also now that we discovered that this kid is the key to saving the world and ending this war that is ravaging our village. Yeah, I
guess.
We can.
But this thing won't fly.
But it definitely won't fly. So I get to say it. I say yip yip and Appa flies.
Yeah. That's good
Pretty
writing.
Cool.
That's good writing to make the guy that's the biggest skeptic. Did the first episode, so in the first episode, he did say yip yip that plant.
Nah, dude, I don't remember. I
Aang
obviously
yip, yip.
didn't rewatch the pilot. I don't remember. No, at the beginning of this episode, he's about
Aang
to
said
leave.
yip yip.
And he says
right.
yip yip.
And then that's right. And then Sokka remembered yip yip. And I wanted to remember to say yip yip right when we started this, and I'd just forgotten what the words were. I was saying, to be honest, I was going to say, I thought it was like zip zap. And then it was jib jab, and I'm like, no, I think jib jab is when you have big heads and you send a greeting card.
Yeah, you're thinking jib jab, and then you're thinking e greeting cards where it's like, oh, that's your body on a dancing elf, and then you're also thinking of the improv warm up where we point at each other and yell zip zap
zip zap. That's right.
That's what you're thinking. No, he says yip yip.
Do you think there was a jib jab with Avatar characters at any point?
For sure. I think I probably made it.
Yeah. That'd be fun. Your head on Sokka.
Yeah. We're leaving Gran.
Gran's left behind. That's right. But that was a fun little turn too, to be like, hey, where do you think you're going
supportive.
Without this stuff?
Gran
love that.
Her back.
Gran knows too how to like deliver a line. She knows how to like give the little, like, I'm talking about the character Gran knows.
Yes.
She knows. And obviously the actress does, of course.
Crushes it. But Gran like,
she
savors the moment.
She knows
she
how
hits
to,
you with the wisdom. Yeah.
And I was like, for a second, I was like, well, why doesn't Gran go if she knows the saves? But then you think about it, like 100 years old, you know?
Yeah.
So
and
big
what,
adventure.
You just leaving all these freaking kids, man?
Right. And then truly Sokka, like, I get why Sokka wanted to leave too, because it's like, dude doesn't have a snow fort anymore.
Snow fort's gone. Talked a big game about protecting the village, got bopped on the head.
Certainly.
Real bad.
It made me kind of like Zuko more, to be honest, when it was like, he could have really crushed that guy, but then did like little cute little like staff bops on Sokka's head. I was like, they'll be friends later. His girlfriend will turn to the moon and he'll say, that's rough, buddy. At the point when they save him from that glacier when he's shivering and they put a blanket on him.
I mean, big swings.
Yeah.
Here was speaking of big swings, Chris.
Okay.
This was a thought I had to close out potentially. Also, we don't have to close out.
No, I'm fine.
You know?
I mean, you know that I crushed this episode.
You crushed it.
We've got 50 more we got 75 more of these.
We committed to making episode 2. Yep. That was it.
That's it. This is actually it. So this is what we can close down on this. I thought
it would be fun to preview at least like the first half of season 1. I'm going to give you titles.
Great.
Of episodes. We saw 1 and 2. So episodes 3 through 10.
Okay.
Of book 1, Water. And I want you don't have to like full I mean, if you'd like to do full
I'll give
episode
the log line.
synopses,
I'll give the log
but
line of the episode.
Just tell me what this
I'll tell you what happens in this episode.
Tell me what you think they're going to be about.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to, if you need to, like, revise a little when you hear later ones and you want to go back and go like, no, wait, that happens in this one.
Yeah, okay.
Boy in the Iceberg, Avatar Returns, Episode 3, The Southern Air Temple. What do you think's going down?
Southern Air Temple. This is where we're stopping off for Aang to. It's along the way, and we catch up a little bit more with the monks that kind of trained him a little bit, and we're getting a sense of like his history. We get a glimpse. I think it's like an origin episode for Aang. We get like a sense of the lore around this guy. We get more of a sense of like what his training might have been and what the expectations are from the Air Tribe. Checking in with
them, meeting the other monks and stuff.
And I think that Sokka might be like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." And that's what I think he's kind of feeling about this episode.
Like, yeah.
He's like,
okay, great.
It might be getting cool. And maybe he meets a girl at a point, but I don't think we're there yet.
Okay. Tell me when we're there.
Yeah.
Episode 4, The Warriors of Kyoshi.
Right. Classic episode. Mm-hmm. Classic episode.
Mm-hmm. You're pumped. You've seen this.
Yeah.
We lied. Chris has seen
all of it.
Yeah.
And especially this episode.
Wow, he speculates, what if I hadn't seen? But it's
a real acting exercise, actually, to try and like make it just enough off to feel like I've never seen it.
Yeah, but these
actually nail it all. Yeah,
really
and the episode's called again,
The Warriors of Kyoshi.
Right, The Warriors of Kyoshi. So this is our big. There's a real big recruitment episode where like there's some battles that are like the Fire Tribe has rekindled their pun intended their the flames of their advance on catching up to Aang and the kids. And
you know that phrase, the flames of our advance.
I started with rekindle, and I'm like, well, shit, they got to rekindle the flame, but it's got to also be part of their journey. Damn it, I thought I could get away without it being called out.
No, sorry.
That's fine.
I'm here. I'm not going to call out the accuracy or inaccuracy of your plot summaries. I will call out rekindle the flames of their advance.
So obviously, they've rekindled the flame of their advance because they have heart, not... What was the phrase you made up earlier? Heart, not... what was it again?
He's all
head, no heart. What was it?
I said like he's all heart, no hero.
Oh, right.
Something like that.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that we're both making up phrases in this episode and we're not judging each other for making
all
up
head,
phrases.
No heart, I think is a phrase already, but yeah,
rekindling the fire of their...
Okay, so they're advancing.
They're advancing
with their
the fire of their advance.
Yeah.
And then this is the part. What, the name of the episode again?
The Warriors of Kyoshi.
The Warriors of Kyoshi. And so they're in Kyoshi, and they're like, we need you guys. We need you all to help us in this time of need. And you know what? We're going up to the northern most point of this planet, and we know you have a problem that you're like, why can't this be fixed? And we're like, help us now. And when we get up to the North Pole and we come back, we'll help you with all the grains. You need grain because there's
a grain issue on Kyoshi.
Yeah.
Maybe the Fire Nation, because of the flames of their advance.
Yeah,
they've like
crops.
cut off the crops. They've like cut off the food supply.
Yeah. And then they're just like, it's a battle episode. And then the Warriors of, what's the name of the episode again?
So Kyoshi save
the day and help the kids escape. And then the Fire Nation has to regroup again.
So they're in battle with the Fire Nation and these like these hidden warriors, these like forgotten, or this is like a standing army.
These are like long dormant. It's a long dormant armament.
Okay, emerges to help defeat the Fire Nation.
Yeah,
cool.
And
push
maybe
them back.
They're stone.
They're stone?
Maybe they're stone.
Oh, like they are statues.
Yeah, maybe they're like
animated statues.
Animated statues. There's something magical about them that maybe Sokka accidentally says a phrase like he did to make Appa fly and then makes these warriors animate. And then suddenly it's like they've rekindled the flame of their advance to take down the Fire Nation's attack. So obviously that's why I really wanted to circle that episode because it's a popular one.
It's a big one. It is a popular one. Episode 5, The King of Omashu.
Now, the king of Amashu has heard that the Avatar lives and is like, I want to give him safe harbor on their journey, replenish, feed the kids, make sure that they're all rested and taken care of. But then by the end, we learn that he's actually in cahoots with Fire Nation and is like, Fire Nation, I got these kids.
Yeah.
They think I'm their friend, but I'll sell them to the highest bidder. And then he's like, Zuko, you want it? You want the Avatar? It'll cost you. And then Zuko, it's an episode about Zuko having to get a bunch of gold together and then pay this guy for the Avatar. And then the deal goes south and then the kids escape.
So, yes. Okay. King of Amashu seems like a kindly old friend, turns out to imprison them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Episode 6, Imprisoned.
Well, I mean, there's your segue, right? I mean, there's the obvious thing. I did feel like, I mean, you helped me out a little bit because my memory was slightly foggy. I thought they might have escaped, but you're right that they got imprisoned there. And so now that they are imprisoned, this is the big like jail escape episode. This is the big prison break. And Lord knows they're going to need to use all their learned skills so far to get out of this prison.
What's special about this prison?
Is the Fire Nation.
Okay.
It's a outpost in the Fire Nation.
So we're all the way into Fire Nation lines at this point.
Yeah, I think that what happened was now like Zuko paid the king. What was the name of the last episode?
Of Amashu.
King of Amashu, gold to get the Avatar, get Aang, and then Sokka and Katara, obviously, vicariously, and Appa's chained. It's sad.
Yeah.
And then they're all in
that
a
would
jail.
Be a very sad image.
Yeah.
Agreed.
They're all in this jail in this outpost, this Fire Nation outpost. And then this is where Zuko finally gets the elders to see what he's done. He's like, I'm home. I'm off the boat.
I've got the scent.
I've got them now. Look, they're in this jail. I've got them right there. And then Zuko's
and the elders, and this is, I don't want to derail you, but the elders, do you think they're like, can we get an update on the flames of your advance? Have they been rekindled?
For sure. They're questioning, do we need to fan the flames of your advance? Yeah. Have they been have they been snuffed out? And then Zuko's like, no. The fires of my advance are in control because there's no longer an advance. I've won. We have them in jail. Cornered. They're there. Okay. So now it's a sustained pit fire of my advance. It's like there. We're all warmed by the hearth of my advance.
Yes.
And then they and then Zuko gets frustrated because he's like, we got him. What are we gonna do with him? And then all the elders are like squabbling and debating and all this type of stuff. And then Zuko's like, what are we going to do? And there's all this infighting, debating of what to do with the Avatar now that they finally caught the thing, the guy. They probably refer to him more as an object, would be my guess. Okay. And then, I don't know. I need to make that undercutted. And then Katara figures out some way to loosen a bind, and then gets the start of their escape, and then they all figure out. They all figure out a really cool way based off of their learned skills and their teamwork on how to get out. And then Zuko, I think, sees them escape, and then because he's so frustrated with all the squabbling amongst his people, he stays quiet a little bit.
Oh,
he stays quiet a little bit. He buys him some time. He's like, you know what? These guys clearly don't know what they're doing. Stays quiet a little bit.
I like.
We start to see the beginning of maybe he's turning. Maybe he's having a change of heart.
This episode is all about tension between Zuko and Fire Nation elders.
Yes,
as the team escapes the imprisonment that happened to them last episode.
Yes.
We got a two-parter here. Winter Solstice, Part 1, The Spirit World, and Winter Solstice Part 2, Avatar Roku.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, and these are episode numbers
7 and 8.
7 and 8. Which is interesting, too, because you're like a two-parter that's not the finale of this book.
Or even like a mid-season.
Or even a mid-season, right? It just felt like we've got a lot of story suddenly now that Zuko's starting to turn.
Yeah.
That's where it's like we're refiguring out the dynamic of this group and what the goals are all of a sudden. And this, over these 2 episodes, this is where Zuko starts to have his change of heart, and we work over the course of these 2 episodes to get him embedded in the group with some sort of shared goal, a change of heart to at least say, you know what? I'll see this out for a little bit. I might help you guys out. I might be a little bit of a golem in your midst. You know, you don't know if you can fully trust me, but it's winter solstice and it's getting really dangerous now because of the weather. The only way to get to the other side is to go through the underground caves that only a Fire Nation person would know about.
Okay. Because it's still in Fire Nation territory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the first one is called
the spirit world.
And so that's when we descend into the caverns and the crypts and stuff, and we start to see these spirits. And then that's what they're all starting to reconcile with, is like the spirits of their ancestors from all across the different tribes. And then that is what's making the kids kind of unify a little bit beyond saying like, wow, why are we fighting? You know, it's like we were told to do this. Like it's our ancestors decided this for us.
Yeah.
And that's where we're in the spirit world.
Inherited war.
Yeah. And then the other episode, which is called the
Avatar Roku.
Avatar Roku, exactly. You know, everyone when they first heard the title of this episode are like, is this one suddenly like there's the cross promotion with Roku as a like app? That's like what they're going to be like doing.
Which was very popular in 2006.
Exactly. But no relation actually.
Wow.
So Roku actually is the episode is called again, episode
Winter Solstice Part 2, Avatar Roku.
Avatar Roku. And so that is another state that Aang finds out that he can utilize, and get this, he's the lava bender. It's when he's Roku, he can bend.
They couldn't save that for the finale of this season.
They're like, we got to keep these kids entertained and keep them around. And so, this is where Aang is, because they're down in the caves, you know, and now they're kind of like in the molteness, like, it's still dangerous. It's like super hot in this Fire Nation area, but we're almost on the other side. But there's a huge, it's like Balrog stuff in the Mines of Moria kind of thing. We're like now getting the zone where there's friggin' lava breathing stuff. There's fire in the walls. And then they realize like, oh my gosh, we're in an active volcano. There's a wall of lava that's now totally cutting off our path, but we've come so far. How are we going to get through? Avatar Roku. And then he suddenly creates like his eyes go white, his head glows, and then he parts the curtain of the lava, and then everyone manages to get through. And then get this, he gets Zuko, Katara, and Sokka through, and then they're like, now you come on through. And then he stays there, and then he futzes out, and then the lava closes and they're separated.
Whoa. Cliffhanger?
That's the cliffhanger of the 2-parter.
He falls out of his Avatar Roku state.
Yes.
And is trapped behind and I'm just curious, you heard 2-parter and you went, I know, there'll be a cliffhanger in the second one.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's why this show is standing the test of time. You know?
So that first one's going to be like, to be continued. And then the second one's going to be like, no, that's it. We finished. Okay, great. Pick up, and then we pick up in episode 9, 2 more. Episode 9, the waterbending scroll.
The waterbending scroll, perfect. How fitting that they both are split off, right? And that now they're on the other. Oh, this is such a like. I'm like branching off of branches
You're so
branches.
Deep.
I'm so deep.
Also, by the way, I just want to flag for you. You've made this show hyper serious. And like there are big serialized elements. There are long arc stories. There are also
just like a little bottle episode,
one continuous.
This is a lot of. This is where it gets super serialized, and then they got the studio note for book 2 to be like, let's have some slowdown. Like let's play with those penguin otters for a little bit more.
Like we thought it would be more of like a road trips type story where they stop and have little adventures along the way. But like that did seem kind of promised in some way by the And obviously there's a long arc goal and we want to see them get to the Northern Water Tribe. But we did think there would be more like standalone stories along the way. But I get it.
Yeah, and I also, to be fair, predicted that as what this show would be like. So I'm kind of going against my own predictions, but it's because I'm realizing actually that I'm getting closer with this. So it's funny that this episode, which is called
The Waterbending Scroll.
The Waterbending Scroll is so fitting that the group has been separated and suddenly they're with what they thought was their enemy earlier. And now they're in survival mode because it's Zuko, it's Aang. It's Zuko, it's Katara, and it's Sokka. And now this stuff is kind of bubbling up to the surface. The stuff that was like their shared goal is kind of behind them a little bit. The group split off. It's like now we don't even have the Avatar. What's your deal? What's your deal? Where do this is where they're airing out their the skeletons in their closet a little bit, kind of saying some mean truths to each other as they forge ahead to try and find the way out to get back around and maybe meet Aang and find a way to get to another tunnel that can get back to him. But then the funny thing is, as they're going deeper into these caves, which of course we know we're in Fire Nation territory, they suddenly realize that like, what is this ancient library that we've stumbled into that's like all these ancient scrolls and all these
big secret underground library.
Yeah. And then they go in there and then Katara's like, I don't know, y'all. Something inside me says there's some significance to this place. And then she kind of like starts to just like get into her own little zone and then finds a scroll that she opens up and then realizes at one point Fire Nation and Water Tribe were super friendly. Super, super close, like that they were all like in cahoots. And then through reading this history, suddenly it bridges a gap between Zuko and the siblings. Okay. And then we're like, this is the one where it's finally fully forged of like, oh, I get what we were supposed to, I get why it's important that we come together. I get why we can't be at war anymore. Guys, I'm fully on your side now. Let's get Aang. Let's get to the North Pole
the rock.
From behind the lava curtain. And then let's do this thing. And also what happens with that scroll is that it teaches Katara a couple secrets for master waterbending.
And just to clarify, the library is like long abandoned, or they're like
long abandoned.
Anybody down there? Nobody's down there.
Nobody's down there.
Okay.
Yeah, long abandoned. Yeah.
Great.
And also, I think in this episode, I know in this episode that we leave the library, right?
Okay.
Zuko and Katara take off. They're like, we gotta go. It's time to get out of here.
Okay. Are they a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
This is starting now. Yes.
Okay.
And then Sokka lingers just for a second and looks at that scroll and then makes us as an audience think, wait a second.
Is he gonna
learn a little
something?
One of those like, wait, is Sokka a waterbender too? Yeah. Nah. But then that little linger is what plants the seed for later.
Okay. Episode 10. By the way, how did they get him out from behind the
They haven't yet.
magma?
They haven't yet. No. That was a whole episode that was separated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Episode 10 is called Jet.
Perfect. Yeah. They get to the end of a tunnel finally. That's why they had to leave the libraries. That suddenly it was the time of day that
so serious.
Yeah.
That whole episode was they walked through
a library. But they had a lot of emotional bonding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just and I do think like emotional bonding in like a secret underground tunnel, I can see it. I can picture it. Yeah.
And then the reason that they left was that there was like, it was the time of day that the sun hit the exit hole like just right, so that Katara's like, I see sunlight. And then that's what made them leave. And then Sokka did his little linger and we're like, next episode, right? So now we're in the Jet episode. It's just called Jet. And they get out of they see sunlight. They get out on to the top, and then when they're out there, suddenly who should they meet? Aang. Aang's waiting for him. He was able to water bend and earth bend and or just air bend his way out of the. He hasn't earth bend yet.
He can't earth bend yet.
Not earth bend yet. And then he air bends his way out of the rocks. And then he's like, "Where you guys been? Where you guys been? I was waiting for you."
And we didn't see that last episode. That's
a surprise.
The episode, the waterbending scroll,
Bottle
Aang's
episode
off screen
in the library.
Whole time.
Yes. And then he's waiting there for him with Appa. And then it's like, and then they're like, "There's just so much. We were in a library, and then there was that thing, and then there's a real famous moment from the show where then Aang is like, "Sorry guys, I'd love to hear about it, but we got a jet." And then they hop on Appa, and then they take off on flight again, back on track to the North Pole. Great. And then while they're on the back of Appa, that's when Zuko is like, "You're not so bad, kid." And then he's like, "Cool."
Just to be clear, that's an episode of television. They walk out of the tunnel. He's like, "Don't worry, I already did it. Let's go."
No, this is
Not so bad.
That's what launches. That's what cold opens them. That's what launches them. That's what jets them. Because I just want to make sure I had to give all the circumstance to the iconic line of love to hear all that, but sorry guys, we got a jet.
And this episode is named after that iconic line in the cold open.
Yes.
And then the episode is what?
The episode is they get up into the sky, and then they meet the sky nomads in this one because they jet all the way up into the sky. And then he's like, "That's why I got a jet, is that I found on my little side mission where the air nomads are, and we're gonna go to my village in the sky."
And I'm loving the continuity of this hyper serialized world you built. But I am just curious. You did mention them meeting like a lot of his people. Like he went to his house in your episode 3, the Southern Air Temple, and we did meet a number of monks, but those were not air nomads.
No, those were like those were kind of like those that are like in-betweeners, I think is what they're called. They're like living down on Earth, and then they're up there. They live down on Earth. They're just like kind of like messengers to the air nomads, but who
live exclusively in the sky.
Yeah, the air nomads are exclusively in the sky, and then these guys are the in-betweeners.
And are they like air benders? Like, can they bend the air?
Air nomads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I just want to ask, and we'll talk about some of the other episodes. What is the title of the show?
Avatar the Last Airbender. Right.
Okay, cool.
Well, to be fair,
as far as we know, and then we meet all these air, that's the big twist.
They're all older than him, though.
Right.
Technically, he's the last one. Right?
They're all 113 plus. Yeah.
So they're all you could still be an airbender and be like the 3rd and the 5th and the 12th and the 50th. He is the last airbender.
He's the last one.
Yeah.
It will end with him.
Right. So he's like, "Where are all the other kids? Why are there no one younger than me that's bending air?" And they're like, "Dude, you're the last airbender.
You're the chosen. You were chosen to end the line as we retire to the sky."
Yeah. So they're up in the air nomads land, and then up there, there's a, they're all just kind of like really confused about what's going on down below them. They're like, "Things are pretty chill up here. What's the problem?" We catch them up, Fire Nation. We catch them up. Like, "Oh, we were imprisoned." We catch them up, scrolls. There was a whole thing. We were in like a library.
This hyper serialized last episode for sure. And then,
yeah, I think that's kind of it. That's really what happens in that episode.
Okay, I want to just reflect to you. I don't want to circle too much right or wrong.
Sure.
But I do want to give just like a little bit of overarching feedback, which is like you definitely have a grasp of this world and have hit on a lot of images. There's a lot of like little segments of things that might happen at some point, that might have happened around when you said, that are just like there are some things that you definitely
great.
Yeah. I want to specifically compliment, or not even a compliment, but just say like there are going to be a lot of things that people are like, "Whoa, he's so," and then that's completely weirdly, statues are important in the Warriors of Kyoshi episode.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was a total dig, just like, and there's stone. There's no
statues.
segue. Yeah.
I'm not saying that there are statue warriors. I'm just saying statues.
Okay.
And I won't tell you which one, but there was one episode that you almost perfectly described the exact opposite of the plot. You directly the exact opposite of the plot. I do want to give one more, just like while we're still in it. You did tease multiple times that Sokka was going to meet a girl, and I didn't get that. So I'm curious
we're only
if
at
you
episode 10. I thought maybe that was going to be episode 12 was my thought. But,
okay.
But actually, now that I'm remembering, he might meet an air nomad, because that would tie in a way, in the episode Jet, when they finally meet all the air nomads, he's up there and he's like, oh my God, who is she?
Yeah.
And then it's suddenly like Aang's like, oh, my sister? Oh, sorry. Oh, my granddaughter?
Okay.
Or
which, by the way, so you're imagining that he did father a child?
No. Yeah, hang on.
Being frozen at age 12.
My great cousin?
My grandniece?
Yeah. There's some relation to Aang. And then like, I can introduce you. No. No. And then he's like, he's nervous. And then that's why she turns into the moon, because she's so close. She's in an air nomad.
And that happens not in that episode.
No, that happens season. That happens book 2.
Okay, book 2.
Book 2, because really, like, we want to make sure that there's a relationship forged.
Yeah.
Enough too that you call her. You got to get the awkward like courtship stuff. You got to get the like, are we boyfriend and girlfriend? Then you got to get like the I'm firmly your boyfriend and I'm firmly your girlfriend. And then you got to have the thing that like is a devastating. All is lost for Sokka when she is, has to go into become a recluse or she's cursed or something like that. That then that's why I think that line is so iconic. Is that like, oh my gosh, what a traumatic thing that Sokka went through. And then the best way to sum it up is like, I'm sorry that your girlfriend turned into the moon, or my girlfriend turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy. When you're like that's a sign of bonding, because you're reductive about what was probably a really intensive, big sequence that had a lot building to it. And then your line is just like a real small, like, she turned into the moon. No context. And then Zuko doesn't need to hear more. He's just like, well, that's rough, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is this character, is she like along for do we check in with her, or is she like does she become part of the expanding crew?
She becomes part of the crew.
So we pick up Zuko around episode 7, Winter Solstice, part 1. In prison. So he joins, and then in episode 10, Jet, this character. Do you remember this character's name?
Yeah,
and I will say you have heard other characters' names in this, because I do have other friends who are on the show who you have met and do have the context of some other names. There are names in your brain. I'm not saying they would apply here. But I'm curious. You do have a shot of pulling.
My guess is
if this is the correct character.
Toph.
Okay, this is Toph.
Yeah, I think you and Toph are.
Because you've met Michaela Murphy, aka Jessie Flower, who played Toph, and Toph is Sokka's love interest, who is an air nomad,
and then is a. And I think like she's a big vessel to teaching him a lot of the lessons that Sokka needs to learn. Puts him in his place a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then I think that she kind of, as an air nomad, kind of gets like, I feel like she's got a similar energy to Zuko insofar as that like she's, but like in a positive bent, like she's like a bit more ambitious with her powers than she should be, and some of that stuff. And then as a result, kind of like gets involved or gets too out of control with like experimenting with magic in some way that then turns her into the physical.
It's not magic. We talk
embodiment
about
of moon.
It's not magic, but okay, yeah.
It's not magic. That's
but they're separate. You're saying this is not bending.
Yeah. No,
now
bending's
she's
not
incorporating
magic. Yeah, exactly.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that she's kind of like starting to experiment with some like crazy shit.
And that accidentally, in cruel fate, turns her into the moon.
She's like, I want to be bright. I want to be big. I want to control the world with gravity's pull. And then the curse says,
the
you're
monkey
the moon.
paw starts to crawl, but it was curl. The monkey paw starts to curl, but as it's curling, it's like, But honestly, what were you aiming for? I don't want to. I guess this is like, oh, you didn't see that coming, but I guess you probably did. That was
you got exactly what you wanted.
Moon stuff.
I want to be able to control all the air, like gravity, and control the tides, like an airbender, and
airbenders would logically be the ones to control the tides for sure.
Yeah, and then lo and behold, she gets what she wishes, but a little more than she bargained when she becomes the moon.
The moon. Chris, I want to say thank you for your deep and sincere effort at that. And then I also want to say, I do think you should watch the season because I think some of it may surprise you.
Great.
I think if those are your specific expectations, there might be a few surprises along the way that don't exactly go as you foresee.
Well, how's that for a little hook, huh? Well, I hold on to the hope that I just crushed all of that, just like I crushed episode 2 with specifics that no one could think of.
Except for all the writers who obviously thought of it.
Right, and then all the people that probably just like natural flow out of a first episode. But
Yeah.
Well, I think I had a blast. What a celebration of a first season for our podcast, a great one to do another episode of. It's forever fun to me speculating in this realm, and guys, it took me. I gotta watch the show now. I gotta do it.
You should watch it. I am genuinely excited for. There are a couple things you said there that I just want to. I want to go like, bro, that was pretty. That was something. You had something there.
Oh, I just can't wait for like now the rhythm will be in is like I'll be able to pick up episodes, a few a week, and then we'll have those like moments of decompress where we're like calling about something else, and I'll be able to be like, dude, I freaking nailed the statues. Are you kidding me? The Fire Nation arguing at the prison, I crushed that. Yeah, I can't wait. And Lava Curtain, that's just a cool visual.
That's a cool visual. If they didn't do that, somebody should.
Yeah, use that as a way to separate a group. Come on.
Well, what a pleasure. Thanks for voting for it, y'all. Thanks for voting at all. Thanks for participating and being so fun, patrons. And thanks to everyone else for listening and joining us for this ride. For season 1, it's done. We'll see you in a little bit with season 2. Great, fun podcast, Chris.
Fun podcast. I'm having a great time.
Me too.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing thoughts and votes and pitches on episodes and just your time
coming,
hanging out with us. We can't wait to launch into the next season with arguably. Very probably general ideas that may or may not work for a whole new season.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. Any initial list making either of us did is so tapped out.
Right.
And I don't think I used even a third of the things that I like jotted down when we first talked about doing this. I'm tapped past tapped, and I know that like obviously the goal is to do like 10 to 13 seasons of this show,
right,
which is like 100.
Yeah.
So tune in season 2 to see if we have any new ideas and how they are.
So how's that for a hook for season 2, huh?
Now we got some fun ones probably. I have one or two. I got
a couple secret ones I've saved. Definitely.
We love y'all. Thanks for joining for season 1. We'll see you in season 2.
We'll see you soon. Bye, y'all. What's the word that you say when you try and make Appa fly?
When I succeed?
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.